Hello and welcome to livealittlehigher.com. Today we read a double portion of Parashah Behar-Bechukotai, and most of the Parashah of Behar speaks about the law of the land of Israel, which is called Shemitah, and Shemitah is a Shabbat of the land. So our next Shemitah year is going to be in the year 2028. After Rosh Hashanah, we begin this cycle of a whole year where the farmers in Israel stop working the land. Jewish farmers, they cannot work the land. They have to leave it on its own. They cannot sell the produce that they produce on that year, the seventh year. They cannot make any money out of it. And they have to open the borders of their land and allow people that pass by, and the poor and the widow and the orphan to come in and just take whatever they want with not paying for it. Also, whatever is left, it's given to animals. So we see that this is a very interesting law, which really is it really is mind-boggling, because people would think, and it says that the people ask God, okay, but what are we going to do for a year? Like, what are we going to eat? Are we going to be able to survive without working? And Hashem promises them that He's not only going to give them what to eat in this year, but their land is going to become even more fruitful after the Shemitah year. And we have to think that it's not only 1 year that you don't gain from the land, it's the year that you don't gain from the land, plus the year after, which is a year in which you have to again work the land and plant the seeds again, and it's another year till the land keeps giving. It continues to give. So it's really a test of bitachon, of trusting Hashem. And it's not an easy mitzvah to fulfill. When you go in Israel during this time, during a Shemitah year, I've been there, and this is a law that continues till today. It's not bound by the times of the temple. It's a law of the land, and you're a frum Jew, and you have to eat kosher. You have to be very careful that you're not eating from the produce of the land of the Jewish farmers. You have to check. They put a stamp on every fruit and every flower, anything that grows in the land, that it's not from the Shemitah, it's not from the land of Israel, that it's not being growing from the Jewish farmers. Most of the things, the produce comes there, they import it, or people buy from the Arab farmers. But nevertheless, you cannot benefit from wine, olives, oranges, anything that grows in the land for that year. So the focus of this talk, I bring it from the Shem Mishmael, where he's comparing the Shemitah year to Shabbat, because there's a Mechilta that says that since you're taking care of the Shabbat of the land for a year, every 7 years, also this should take away Shabbat. Like, if you're already taking care of the Shabbat of the land, then that whole year people don't need to keep Shabbat. That's the question. So here he's going to give a whole explanation of why the Shabbat cannot be eradicated, not for a year, not ever, why Shabbat keeps going regardless of a Shemitah year. So it says in Shemot, it says 6 years you shall sow your field, and you shall gather in your produce. In the 7th you shall let it rest and be fallow. The poor of your people shall eat, and the excess may be eaten by the beasts of the field. So shall you do to your vineyard and your olive grove. 6 days you shall do your work, and on the 7th day you shall rest, so that your ox and your donkey may rest, and the son of your maidservants and the stranger may be revitalized. So we're gonna look at what's the connection between Shemitah year and the weekly Shabbat, and what is the later subject of the last part of this verse. And it continues, Rashi, saying, on the 7th day you shall rest. even in the 7th year, the Shabbat, which recalls creation, the weekly Shabbat, is not cancelled. We should not think that since the entire Shemitah year is called Shabbat, it's the Shabbat of the land, it's a whole year of Shabbat, the Shabbat, which recalls creation, should not apply. And so he continues telling us that this is very odd, and he compares the laws of the Shemitah year with the laws of Shabbat. So obviously, the laws that are included in Shemitah are laws that we keep on Shabbat. But not all the laws of Shabbat are included in the Shemitah year. So let's see. On Shemitah year, you cannot farm your land. Obviously, on Shabbat, you cannot farm your land. One may not sow seed, you cannot harvest crops or perform a wide range of other agricultural activities, which we don't do on the Shemitah year, and also we don't do on Shabbat. But there are a tiny fraction of the 49 melachas of Shabbat. For example, Shabbat, you cannot cook, you cannot write, you cannot sew, you cannot ride a car, you cannot pay for things, you cannot go and buy stuff, you cannot work, you cannot separate. Let's say if you're walking and you have a mango tree outside of your garden, you cannot take away the mango from the tree. And there's many laws. There's 49 of them that are actually called melachas, which we abstain from, and these were the work that was done during the times of the construction of the Mishkan and the tabernacle in the desert and the subsequent temples in Jerusalem. So we know that Shabbat, we abstain from anything, this is what's called work, that was performed in the times of the constructions of the Mishkan and the tabernacles. So we stay away from that. So it says that the desecration of the Shabbat is treated far more severely than the transgression of the laws of Shemitah. And he says, it is perfectly apparent that Shabbat is far holier and is infraction more severe than Shemitah. What then does the Mehilta mean when it's asking that it's unthinkable to propose that the weekly Shabbat should be cancelled in the face of the far weaker and more limited restrictions that we have to endure during the Shemitah year? So here he comes again and he explains that whenever the Torah mentions the laws of Shabbat, it always juxtaposes the 6 days of the week in which we work. And it says in Shemot, 6 days work may be done, and on the 7th day it is the Shabbat of rest, it is holy to God. And then in Vayikra it says, 6 days shall work be done, and on the 7th day it is the Shabbat of the rest, a holy gathering. So we see here in these two pasuks that the point is that Shabbat precedes the 6 days of the week. So people sometimes think that Shabbat is a rest day from the weekdays, but in reality, Shabbat is in Shabbat you're creating the energy for the 6 weekdays that come the following week. So it precedes. Shabbat comes before the 6 days. It's not that Shabbat is the culmination of the 6 days of work. Shabbat is the prerequisite for those 6 days that are going to come in the next week. You need to have Shabbat. So this means that Shabbat is holy and is removed from the 6 days of the week. And this means that that we need to remove on Shabbat our experience of the week. So let me give you an example. On Shabbat, we do everything different. Everything different. If you're gonna do an egg salad for Shabbat, you cannot do it like you do it every day. You have to take the fork and maybe go and do like this and like this and like this till you smash the egg. Everything is done differently. If you're gonna open a bag of potato chips, You cannot just rip it apart. You have to make sure that you don't cut letters. You have to open it maybe with a knife in a seam where there's no letters. So Shabbat is a day that is divorced, completely divorced from the rest of the week. On Shabbat, we have special clothes for Shabbat. We don't use regular garments of the weekdays. On Shabbat, people have their special clothes for Shabbat, their special shoes for Shabbat, special china for Shabbat, a special tablecloth for Shabbat. We put nice flowers. We cook special dishes on Shabbat. We don't make the food that we make during the week. Shabbat, you have special, more elaborate dishes that you put on Shabbat. So Shabbat, when Shabbat arrives, it shifts, the whole energy shifts from what you do all week to what you do on Shabbat. And so Shabbat is a day of rest, and it's a day that is holy. It's a day that you cannot be reading the newspaper. You usually don't read magazines. You don't read secular books. You have special reading material for Shabbat that is connected to Hashem, that is connected to Torah. You read about the Parashah of the week. Now, in these days, we're learning Pirkei Avot in the afternoon of Saturdays, of the Shabbat day. That we have special things that we do on Shabbat that we don't do during the week. So our attitude on Shabbat is completely different than the attitude of the week. I read a book many years ago that really changed my whole life, and it's called All for the Boss. All for the Boss. You can find it in Amazon. It's an incredible book. It's written by the daughter of Rabbi Jacob Joseph Herman. He was a pioneer in America. He came like in the 1920s, before the war. And he was a pioneer in Torah study, very devout Jew. When he came to this country, there was a lot of secularism, and there was no authentic Judaism, and he had to fight it. And I remember in one of the stories that his daughter, the one that wrote the book, actually had a red fever. And she ended up in the hospital before Shabbat. And he received a telegram during Shabbat from the hospital. In those days, they sent telegrams. There was no phone. And he refused to open the telegram. He said, you know what? It's Shabbat. I'm going to stay in the spirit of Shabbat. And he kept learning, and he kept singing, and he kept eating. And he was completely divorced from the problem. Completely. And actually, after Shabbat ended, someone came and knocked in the door, and he gave him another telegram, and he said, I hope you didn't read the other one. What happened is, in the first telegram, they were telling him that his daughter had passed away. And then the second telegram said to him, you know what? We made a mistake. It wasn't your daughter. It was the girl in the next bed. So we ask forgiveness for all the pain that we might have given you. And in reality, he never read it. So he was spared from experiencing that pain. So there's a famous saying that it says that the Jew doesn't keep Shabbat, Shabbat keeps the Jew. We don't keep Shabbat. The Shabbos day is the one that keeps us. It protects us. So it says that when Shabbat arrives, we have the ability, the capacity to just throw away all the stress of the week, all your business problems, all your stress and everything that mundane creates stress in your life. You take it away, you throw it out, and you connect to the holiness of Shabbat. Sometimes I wonder if I'm addicted to the phone. And when Shabbat comes, I have no issue. I just turn it off, throw it in a drawer, and I forget about the phone and the computer for 24, 25 hours. And it's okay. I'm fine. I don't even miss it. I'm not thinking about it, what's going on the other side of the world. I don't care. I'm in Shabbat, and really it's an island in time. It's a moment to connect to Hashem, to recharge, and to be grateful, to enjoy your family, enjoy your home, enjoy your life, rest, sleep, recharge, get strong again for the week to come. So our constant involvement in the physical realities of the weekdays must depart to allow the holiness of the Shabbat to permeate our souls. And this aspect of Shabbat is described by the Shabbat song, which claims that Shabbat is a taste of the world to come, Olam Haba. So it is a degustation. You know, when you go to a very fancy restaurant, they give you a little bit of everything they have in the menu, so you can try it out. So Shabbat is actually, it's giving you a tasting of what it's going to be when Mashiach comes, when we come to the world to come, which is separate from Olam Hazeh, which is the physical world, the material world, and only when we divorce ourselves from the exigencies of this world can we prepare ourselves to enter the next world. And in this respect, the relationship between the weekdays and Shabbat is analogous to that between Olam Hazeh and Olam Haba. And this concept is encapsulated in this midrash, where it says, who can bring forth purity from impurity? And in not one, Eov, he says in the book of Eov, for example, Abraham from Terah. So we know that Terah was Abraham's father. He was the biggest idolater that ever existed. And Abraham, who was the son of Terah, transformed the impurity to purity. And we have other examples in the Torah. We have Hiskiyahu from Ahaz, and Yeshayahu from Ammon, and Mordechai from Shimi, and Olam Haba from Olam Hazeh. So in our days, in our lives, and we're really in the threshold of Mashiach, every day of the week is compared to one of the millenniums. And Shabbat, Erev Shabbat, which is Friday, which is the 6th day of the week, it is compared to the just before Mashiach comes. So imagine that when you're at 4 o'clock before Shabbat and you're running to finish everything over, you're like, at that moment, it's like everything is done and that's it. I close the kitchen, I don't do more work, I don't do anything else. They say that you should stop by midday, halachic midday, and enter into the spirit of Shabbat. So the experience of Shabbat really is the experience of Mashiach. The Hidushei Harim suggests that Olam Haba can emerge from Olam Hazeh. By divorcing oneself from Olam Hazeh, the material world, the result in a person imbued with the spiritual aspects of life, thus he creates his own Olam Haba. And this conforms with the view of the mystics, who know that the more one flees from superficiality, the greater one connects to the truth and spiritual reality. And as Moshe Rabbeinu himself discovered when he fled Egypt and Pharaoh, which was the world of materialism, and he came to Midian and he sat by the well represents the Olam Haba, which water is represented as Torah learning. And this helps us to understand the similarity of Shabbat and Olam Haba. Both the weekdays and Olam Hazeh are essentially physical. The 6 workdays are all physical. It's all about physicality, materialism, accumulating, working. And by overcoming the influence, we merit respectively Shabbat and Olam Haba. Because in reality, they're interlinked. If you don't have the 6 days of the week, then you cannot have Shabbat. And if you don't have Shabbat, you cannot have the 6 days of the week. They're come together. When all the work that you do during the week, if it's not purpose-oriented for your home, for your spiritual life, for the well-being of your spiritual being, then what's the whole point of working and accumulating and killing yourself for money and pleasures of the world? It has to be spiritually driven. If you're working hard all week, okay, at least you come to your home and you have a beautiful meal, you invite people, you have people around you. You can have one day where you can go to the synagogue and relax and connect to Hashem. So in reality, as they say, I said it before, Shabbat, the Jew doesn't keep Shabbat. Shabbat keeps the Jew. And it says that the connection between the Shemitah and which is the Shabbat of the land, also is that we have to understand that the purpose of farming and of producing in our lives, it's not just to produce, it's also to enjoy it. And this is the litmus test, where Hashem gives us things, but we have to also sit down and have that cup of coffee and just enjoy it. And in reality, when in Israel, they go through this Shemitah year, the farmers, what do they do that year? They go to the yeshiva, they learn for a year, and they just relax for 1 year, and Hashem takes care of them. And this has been going on since the Jewish people came into the land of Israel. Nobody has died from not working for 1 year the land. Everybody keeps living and enjoying life. And the same way, when you close your shop on Friday evening, Friday afternoon, and you don't open it up till Sunday morning, you still eat the same hamburger. Nothing stops. You continue. One day that you let it rest, that you allow yourself to enjoy what you have created for 6 days, is not going to take it away from you. It's on the other hand, if you keep working and working and working, the Torah says whatever money you make on Shabbat, it's not gonna give you pleasure. You're gonna spend it in something that is not pleasurable, like you're fixing your refrigerator, going to the doctor. It's not money that's gonna stay with you. So I was reading today in the news, interestingly, that President Trump, he instituted for the 250th anniversary of the United States of America, a Shabbat. A Shabbat for all people in America. It's gonna be the May 15th. And he wants every person in America to not work, go home, close the shops, enjoy what you have created, enjoy what you have, enjoy your family, and say, thank you, Hashem. Thank you for everything you give me. It's really a day of gratitude. It's a day where you just step back and you allow Hashem to run the world. It's like I once heard a beautiful analogy of an artist, that Shabbat is like the artist when during the week, it's like he's painting the painting. He's painting. And Shabbat is like the moment he takes one step back and he looks at it and he's admiring it. So that's Shabbat. Shabbat is one day that you take one step back, you let it be, you look at it, and you can see what you've created, what you've done during the week. So there's a lot about Shabbat, and I really, even if you're not Jewish, take one day off. Your grandparents used to do it. Take 1 day of the week where you just don't work anymore, and you let it be, and you enjoy what you have, and you say, thank you, Hashem, for all my blessings. So I leave you here, and remember, live a little higher. Thank you.